The Galactic Confederation had existed for over 10,000 years. Hundreds of species, millions of worlds, all united under a single banner of peace and prosperity. They had seen civilizations rise and fall, watched as primitive species took their first steps into the stars, and guided those worthy into their ranks. Earth was just another primitive world on the edge of Confederation space. When their first crude radio signals were detected, the Confederation sent observers. When humans launched their first satellites, the Confederation took notes. And when humanity finally achieved faster-than-light travel, the Confederation prepared to make contact. But they weren't impressed by what they found. Humanity's ships were bulky, inefficient, and powered by what the Confederation considered outdated technology. Their weapons were primitive kinetic projectiles and nuclear warheads that would barely scratch the shields of even the smallest Confederation vessel. The Confederation's diplomats walked through Earth's orbital shipyards with barely hidden smiles. They looked at our ships like adults might look at a child's drawing. "This is your most advanced warship?" asked Ambassador Zorol, his mandibles clicking in what humans had learned was laughter. Admiral Chen stood straight in her blue uniform, decorated with medals from her years of service. "The Defiant represents our best technology," she said calmly. Zorol ran one of his clawed hands along the ship's hull. "Charming," he said. "Our civilian transports possessed similar capabilities 4 centuries ago." What the Confederation didn't understand was that humanity had always been underestimated. Throughout our history, we've been pushed to the brink, backed into corners, and forced to innovate or die. And now, facing a galaxy that saw us as primitive, we would show them exactly what humans do when backed into a corner. The Confederation's arrival should have been a moment of celebration for humanity. First contact with an advanced alien civilization, the knowledge that we weren't alone in the universe. But the initial excitement quickly faded as the true nature of the Confederation became clear. "Earth will be classified as a protected resource world," Ambassador Zorl explained to the United Earth Council. "This means you will receive basic Confederation protection in exchange for resources and complete compliance with Confederation regulations." "And what regulations might those be?" asked President Kamara, her voice steady despite the tension in the room. "These regulations include restrictions on your technology development," Zorl replied, his mandibles twitching in what humans now recognized as amusement. "You would be barred from advancing your space capabilities beyond approved levels." The council chamber erupted in protests. Humanity had spent centuries dreaming of the stars, and now that we had finally reached them, we were being told to stop? "This is unacceptable," President Kamara said firmly. "Earth will not surrender its sovereignty or its future." Ambassador Zorl's compound eyes narrowed. "I'm afraid you misunderstand, Madam President. This is not a negotiation. The Confederation has already made its decision." Within days, a Confederation fleet arrived in Earth orbit. 20 massive warships, each one dwarfing our largest vessels. Their message was clear: comply or face the consequences. The United Earth Council met in emergency session. Military leaders presented their assessment. Earth's defenses couldn't hope to stand against the Confederation's technology. Our most powerful weapons would be useless against their shields. Our fastest ships couldn't outrun their slowest. But in a secure facility beneath the Pacific Ocean, a team of scientists and engineers had been working on something that might change everything. Dr. Elena Martinez stood before the United Earth Council, her hands steady as she activated the holographic display. The image showed a ship unlike any Earth had built before, sleek, angular, with a dark hull that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. "Project Prometheus," she said simply. "A new kind of warship based on principles that the Confederation has overlooked." General Williams scoffed. "Doctor, with all due respect, the Confederation has been spacefaring for thousands of years. What could we possibly have discovered that they haven't?" Dr. Martinez smiled. The Confederation has been the dominant power for so long that they've stopped looking for new discoveries. They've refined their existing technology to near perfection, but they haven't truly innovated in centuries. She tapped a command, and the hologram changed to show the ship's power core. This is where Prometheus differs. The Confederation's weapons and shields operate on a specific energy frequency. We've designed Prometheus to absorb that energy rather than resist it. President Kamara leaned forward. You're saying their weapons would make us stronger? Exactly, Martinez nodded. The more they fire at us, the more power we can harness, and then... She paused, tapping another command. The hologram showed a simulation of Prometheus releasing a massive energy pulse. We can turn their own power against them. The council chamber fell silent as the implications sank in. How soon can it be ready? President Kamara asked. Martinez exchanged glances with Admiral Chen. The prototype is operational, but we need time to build more. 6 months, maybe less. We don't have 6 months, General Williams said grimly. The Confederation has given us 1 week to begin resource transfers, or they'll start taking what they want. Then we'll have to make them give us more time, Admiral Chen said, her voice firm. 1 ship against 20 isn't good odds, but if Dr. Martinez is right, Prometheus might just even the playing field. The Council voted unanimously to authorize Project Prometheus. For the next 7 days, engineers and scientists worked around the clock, making final adjustments to the prototype. Military personnel trained in simulators, preparing for a battle unlike any humanity had fought before. On the 7th day, as the Confederation's deadline expired, Prometheus rose from its underwater hangar, water cascading down its dark hull as it broke the surface of the Pacific Ocean. Admiral Chen stood on the bridge of Prometheus, watching through the main viewport as seawater streamed off the ship's surface. The sky above was clear blue, but she knew what waited beyond Earth's atmosphere. 20 Confederation warships, each one capable of devastating an entire continent. Final system check, she ordered, her voice steady despite the tension filling the bridge. The crew, just 25 men and women, the smallest number needed to operate the ship, moved with quick efficiency at their stations. They had trained together for months, but only in simulators. This was their first time on the actual bridge of Prometheus. Navigation systems green, reported Lieutenant Han. Life support functioning at optimal levels, said Medical Officer Kang. Propulsion ready, added Chief Engineer Yun. The resonance patterns are holding steady. Their weapons primed and ready, confirmed Tactical Officer Song, a former fighter pilot whose cool under pressure had earned her this position. Communications are active, reported Communications Officer Min. We're receiving multiple hails from the Confederation fleet. They're demanding we identify ourselves. Chen took a deep breath and settled into the commander's chair at the center of the bridge. The chair adjusted to her form, displays lighting up around her. Take us up, she ordered. Steady ascent pattern. Let them get a good look at us. Prometheus rose into the sky, its experimental engines remarkably quiet compared to traditional rockets. There was no flame, no thunderous roar, just a slight vibration as the ship climbed through the atmosphere. In orbit above Earth, the Confederation battle group had arranged itself in a standard attack formation. 20 destroyer-class vessels surrounded a much larger command ship, their hulls gleaming gold and silver in the sunlight, covered with elaborate designs that spoke of an empire confident enough to value aesthetics alongside function. We've cleared the atmosphere, Han announced, holding position at 300 kilometers. Chen nodded. Broadcast on all frequencies. Visual and audio channel open. Channel open, Min confirmed. The main screen at the front of the bridge flickered to life, showing the interior of the Confederation command ship. Their bridges were extravagant compared to human designs. High ceilings, ornate control stations, officers in elaborate uniforms with multiple insignia denoting rank and accomplishments. The Confederation commander sat on a raised platform at the center, His species had blue-tinted skin with ridged foreheads and 3 pairs of eyes arranged vertically. When he spoke, his mouth moved in ways that seemed unnatural to human perception. "You launch a single vessel?" the commander asked, his translated voice filled with amusement. "Is this your surrender ship?" Chen met the alien's gaze steadily. "Not exactly," she replied calmly. "This is us giving you one chance to leave our system peacefully." For a moment, the Confederation commanders stared in apparent disbelief. Then the broadcast expanded to show more of the Confederation bridge. The alien officers were laughing, some pointing at the screen displaying Prometheus. "Your primitive vessel will make an excellent demonstration," the commander said once he'd regained composure. He turned to his officers. "All ships target the Earth vessel, low-power weapons only. I want them disabled, not destroyed. Yet." On Prometheus, tactical displays showed multiple weapon locks engaging from all 20 Confederation ships. "They're targeting us with what appear to be ion cannons," Song reported, her fingers moving across her console. "Impact in 10 seconds. Chen felt a momentary doubt. Everything they had worked for came down to this moment. If their calculations were wrong, if the resonance patterns failed, Prometheus would be disabled or destroyed in seconds. "Shields?" Chen asked. "We don't have conventional shields," Yun reminded her. "The inversion field is our only defense." Chen nodded. "All crew secure for possible impact." She paused, then gave the order they had trained for. "Activate inversions." Yun pressed a sequence of commands. Deep within Prometheus, the experimental core activated. It wasn't like any power source humans had used before. Instead of generating energy, it created a field designed to capture and redirect energy. Specifically, the energy used by Confederation technology. "Inversion field active," Yun confirmed. "Holding stable at 20% capacity." On the view screen, the Confederation commander leaned forward, looking confused. His sensors would be showing something impossible, a field unlike any defensive system known to the Confederation. "What trick is this?" he demanded. "No matter. Increase power to weapons. Full barrage." The space around Prometheus lit up as dozens of energy weapons fired simultaneously. Beams of blue, green, and red energy streaked toward the Earth ship from all directions. "Impact in 3 seconds, Song warned. "Brace." Chen gripped the arms of her command chair. "Hold steady," she told her crew. "This is what we built her for." The energy beams reached Prometheus, and then something remarkable happened. Instead of striking the hull or being deflected, the beams seemed to curve and flow around the ship. The energy didn't disappear. Rather, it was absorbed into the inversion field, which began to glow with increasing brightness. "Inversion field holding," Yun reported, wonder in his voice. "Power levels rising, 40%, 50%, 65% capacity and climbing." On the view screen, the Confederation commander was shouting orders. The translation came through in fragments. "Impossible, increased power, full weapons." The Confederation ships fired again, this time with their main cannons. These weapons were designed to shatter planetary defenses. Against a ship as small as Prometheus, they should have been overkill. The energy struck the inversion field and again was absorbed rather than dealing damage. The field now glowed so brightly that Prometheus appeared to be surrounded by a small sun. "Field at 90% capacity," Yun warned. "We can't absorb much more." Chen had prepared for this moment. "Begin energy conversion sequence," she ordered. "Prepare for counterstrike." Officer Song looked nervous but determined as she activated systems that had never been used outside simulation. "Conversion sequence initiated. Standing by for target selection." Chen studied the tactical display. The Confederation ships had arranged themselves in a standard formation that hadn't changed in centuries because it had never needed to. They had always been the most powerful force in any conflict. "Target their command ship," Chen decided. "Minimal power, just enough to demonstrate what we can do." Song nodded and made the adjustments. "Ready." Chen opened the communication channel again. The Confederation commander appeared on screen, now looking concerned rather than amused. "What technology is this?" he demanded. "Identify the source immediately." "It's human technology," Chen replied simply. "Something we developed because we had to. You should have left us alone." Before the commander could respond, Chen gave the order. "Release pulse. 20% power only." The brilliant energy surrounding Prometheus suddenly concentrated into a focused beam that shot toward the Confederation command ship. The beam wasn't like normal weapons fire. It moved in ways that defied normal physics, shifting and curving as if alive. When it reached the Confederation ship, it passed through their shields, as if they weren't there. The beam wasn't designed to destroy, merely to disable. It struck with precision, targeting power systems that Prometheus had identified from its scans. The lights on the Confederation command ship flickered and died. Its weapons went dark. The communication screen filled with static before cutting out entirely. "Direct hit," Song reported, sounding surprised. "Their main power grid is offline. Life support appears functional, but weapons and propulsion are disabled." The 19 remaining Confederation ships adjusted their positions, clearly uncertain how to respond to this unprecedented threat. "Open channel to all Confederation vessels," Chen ordered. When the channel was ready, she spoke clearly. "This was a demonstration. We could have destroyed your command ship, but chose not to. Return to your territory and inform your leaders that Earth is not available for colonization or resource extraction." For several tense moments, there was no response. Then one of the Confederation captains appeared on screen. "This is not over, human," the captain said. "The Confederation does not forget or forgive acts of rebellion." "Neither do we," Chen replied. "Remember that." The Confederation ships began to retreat, moving to assist their disabled command ship. As they withdrew, Chen felt the tension on the bridge give way to cautious celebration. "We did it," Yun said, his voice filled with disbelief. "It actually worked." Chen nodded but remained focused. "This is just the beginning," she said. "They'll be back, and with more ships next time." She turned to her crew, who were watching her with a mixture of pride and uncertainty. "We've bought ourselves time," she told them. "Now we need to use it wisely." 3 weeks had passed since Prometheus had faced down the Confederation ships. Earth had used this time wisely. The technology behind Prometheus had been shared with all nations, and production facilities around the world worked day and night to build more ships with the same capabilities. Chen stood on the bridge of Prometheus, which had been upgraded with newer, more powerful systems. The crew moved with confidence now, having trained extensively since their first encounter. "Confederation fleet detected," Officer Min announced from the communications station. "Long-range sensors show 37 ships entering the solar system." Chen wasn't surprised. They had expected this response. The Confederation had existed for thousands of years by crushing any resistance quickly and completely. "How many of our ships are ready?" Chen asked. "Just 3, Yun replied. "The Artemis, the Osiris, and us. The others need at least 2 more weeks." Chen nodded. 3 ships against 37. The odds weren't good, even with their special technology. "Alert the other captains," she ordered. "Formation Alpha. We meet them at Jupiter's orbit. We don't let them get close to Earth." The 3 Earth ships moved into position near Jupiter, its massive gas clouds providing a dramatic backdrop for what was about to happen. The Confederation fleet approached in perfect formation, a wall of massive warships that stretched for kilometers. "They're sending a message," Min reported. Chen nodded. "Put it on screen." The main screen showed a different Confederation commander this time. This one had darker skin with golden patterns that indicated higher rank. "This is Grand Admiral Vorex of the Confederation Armada," the alien said. "Your act of rebellion cannot be tolerated. Surrender now, and some of your people may be spared." Chen looked at her crew before responding. They all gave her determined nods. "This is Admiral Chen of Earth Defense," Chen replied. "We will not surrender. This is our home and we will defend it." The Grand Admiral's face showed no emotion. "Very well. You have been warned." The screen went dark. Moments later, the Confederation fleet began to move. "They're spreading out," Song reported from Tactical, "trying to surround us." Chen had expected this. "Tell Artemis and Osiris to maintain formation, maximum inversion field power. Let them make the first move." The Confederation ships continued their approach, moving with the precision of a force that had conquered thousands of worlds. When they reached optimal firing range, every ship released a barrage of energy weapons simultaneously. The space around Prometheus shimmered as the first Confederation volley struck. Rather than exploding, the ship seemed to absorb the energy, its hull glowing with increasing brightness. The same happened with the Artemis and Osiris. All three Earth ships began to glow like small suns. "Containment holding at 87%, Yun called out, monitoring the systems closely. "Resonance matching is working." Chen watched the tactical display as the Confederation fleet continued firing. They seemed confused by the lack of damage, firing more and more powerful weapons. The Grand Admiral's confused face appeared again on screen. "What trickery is this?" Vorex demanded. "Fire all weapons." Chen couldn't help but smile slightly. The Confederation had never encountered a force that could turn their own power against them. The assault intensified, but with each blast, Prometheus only grew more radiant, until it pulsed with captured energy. The Artemis and Osiris glowed just as brightly. The vacuum of space, normally dark and empty, now blazed with light. "They've never had to innovate," Chen said quietly to Yun, who stood beside her command chair. "They've relied on overwhelming force for so long, they've forgotten how to adapt." Yun nodded in agreement, but his face showed concern as he checked the readings. "Inversions at maximum capacity," he reported. "We can't absorb much more." Chen received similar reports from the other two Earth ships. It was time. "Coordinate ships, coordinate targeting," Chen ordered. "Prometheus will take the center of their formation. Artemis, target the left flank. Osiris, target the right." Tactical Officer Song's fingers flew over her console. "Targets locked." Chen nodded. "Release the counterpulse." The energy Prometheus had absorbed erupted outward in a precisely calculated wave, matching the exact frequency of Confederation shields, passing through them as if they weren't there and shorting out their systems. The Artemis and Osiris released their stored energy at the same moment. 3 massive waves of energy spread across space, engulfing the Confederation fleet. Ship after ship went dark or exploded as their own energy was turned against them. The larger vessels with more powerful shields lasted longer, but eventually they too succumbed. The Confederation had never designed their ships to withstand their own weapons. Why would they need to? 15 Confederation ships disabled, Song reported, her voice rising with excitement. 20 destroyed. The remaining vessels are attempting to retreat. "Target their engines," Chen ordered. "Don't let them escape." The 3 Earth ships released smaller, more focused pulses, disabling the engines of the fleeing Confederation vessels. "All Confederation ships have been neutralized," Song announced finally. No remaining threats detected. A cheer went up from the crew. Chen allowed them this moment of celebration, but her mind was already focused on the next steps. "Open communication channels to all disabled Confederation ships," she ordered when the cheering subsided. A moment later, the face of Grand Admiral Vorex appeared on screen. His ship had been damaged, but not destroyed. The bridge around him was dark, lit only by emergency lighting. Several of his officers appeared injured. "What do you want, human?" Vorex asked, his voice tense. "I want you to deliver a message to your council," Chen said. "Earth is now a sovereign world, not to be approached or threatened by Confederation forces. We will share this technology with any world seeking freedom from Confederation rule." Vorex's eyes narrowed. "You cannot stand against the full might of the Confederation." What you face today was merely a fraction of our forces." Chen leaned forward in her chair. "Then send more ships. The result will be the same. Your technology cannot harm us. It only makes us stronger. How many defeats will the Confederation tolerate before its subject worlds realize you are not invincible?" For the first time, uncertainty showed on the Grand Admiral's face. The Confederation's power had always been based on fear and technological superiority. If word spread that a primitive world had defeated a Confederation fleet, other conquered worlds might be inspired to resist. "The Council will not forget this," Vorex said finally. "Good," Chen replied. "We want them to remember. Now, we will allow your remaining ships to leave once repairs are complete. Spread the word. The age of the Confederation is ending." 6 months later, the massive meeting hall on the neutral planet Altera had once been a Confederation governor's palace. Now it served as the gathering place for the newly formed Galactic Council. The high ceilings and ornate walls still showed Confederation designs, but new banners hung from the rafters, representing 24 worlds that had declared independence from the Confederation. Admiral Chen walked slowly to the center of the circular speaking floor. 6 months had passed since the battle that changed everything. 6 months of rapid change across hundreds of worlds, as news spread of how Earth had defeated the Confederation's fleet. Chen wore a simple blue uniform with no medals or fancy decorations. Around her sat representatives from many alien species. Some had tentacles instead of arms. Others had multiple eyes or skin in colors humans had never evolved. Yet despite their differences, they all watched Chen with the same expression. Hope. "Thank you for coming," Chen began, her voice amplified so all could hear, with translation devices converting her words into 24 different languages simultaneously. 6 months ago, Earth was just another world facing Confederation control. Today, we stand as equals with all of you. The representatives nodded. Many of their worlds had been under Confederation rule for centuries, or even millennia. Earth's resistance had inspired them to break free too. "The principles behind Prometheus aren't secret anymore," Chen explained, using simple terms so the translations would be accurate. "We've shared the technology with all of you because we believe in balance, not dominance." She gestured to the display behind her, showing the technical details of how the Prometheus worked. The Confederation's weapons produced energy at specific frequencies. The Prometheus and the ships built using its technology could absorb this energy and turn it back against them. Already, 27 worlds have built their own defense vessels using these principles. Chen continued. "No single world, not even Earth, controls this technology. It belongs to all free peoples." A tall, thin alien with gray skin and large black eyes stood up. "The Centauri Federation thanks Earth for sharing this knowledge freely. Our worlds suffered under Confederation taxation for 300 years. Now we determine our own future." Others voiced similar gratitude. Chen nodded in acknowledgement but kept her expression serious. "We face challenges ahead. The Confederation still controls thousands of worlds. Their resources are vast." At the mention of the Confederation, eyes turned to a section of seats separated slightly from the others. There sat the Confederation delegation, their once elaborate uniforms now simpler, their posture less proud. The defeat of their fleets had forced the Confederation to negotiate with worlds they once ruled. The lead Confederation representative stood. He was of the same species as Admiral Vorex, but his skin pattern showed even higher rank. "The Confederation recognizes the changed situation in this sector," he said, his translator making his clicks and whistles into smooth speech. "We propose a more balanced relationship moving forward." Chen noticed how carefully the Confederation representative chose his words. Not equality, but more balanced, suggesting the Confederation still saw itself as superior. The Confederation representative continued. "The Confederation proposes a full alliance with Earth and offers command of our Third Fleet as a gesture of respect." Murmurs spread through the chamber. The offer was significant. The Third Fleet included over 100 warships. It would give Earth tremendous power. Chen shook her head. We're not interested in commanding your fleets or joining your hierarchy. What we want is a new start, a cooperative where all species contribute their unique perspectives. She turned to address the entire council. Earth doesn't seek to replace the Confederation as a dominant power. We believe each world should govern itself, with a council serving only to resolve disputes and coordinate mutual defense. The Confederation representative's face showed brief confusion. In their thousands of years of history, the Confederation had never encountered a species that gained power and then refused to use it for dominance. You would turn down command of our fleet, he asked. The Confederation rarely makes such generous offers. It's not generosity, Chen replied calmly. It's an attempt to maintain the old system with new leaders. We reject that system entirely. A small, blue-skinned alien with 4 arms stood up from her seat. Chen recognized her as the representative from Proxima, a world that had suffered particularly harsh Confederation rule. And if the Confederation refuses your terms? The Proxima representative asked. If they rebuild their fleets with new weapons our technology cannot counter? The question hung in the air. Many of the representatives looked nervous. The Confederation had ruled for thousands of years. Could it really be overthrown so quickly? Chen met the Proxima representative's gaze steadily. Then they'll find that Prometheus was just our first innovation, she replied. Not our last. She turned to the Confederation delegation. Humanity had to develop Prometheus because you threatened our world. Don't force us to develop more weapons. Join us as equals instead, and we can all benefit from peaceful cooperation. For several long moments, the hall was silent. Then, slowly, the Confederation representative nodded. I will convey your position to the Council. But I must warn you, change comes slowly to a civilization as old as ours. We're patient, Chen replied. But the free worlds will not wait forever. The council session continued for several more hours as representatives discussed trade agreements, defense pacts, and aid for worlds damaged by Confederation withdrawal. Chen participated actively, but her mind was already turning to the future. When the session finally ended, the representatives broke into smaller groups, chatting and forming connections that would have been impossible under Confederation rule. Chen walked toward the large windows overlooking the spaceport, where dozens of ships from different worlds sat side by side. Dr. Martinez approached her, holding a data tablet. Her role had expanded since the battle. She now served as Chen's chief advisor on scientific development. The research teams are asking about our next priorities, she said. 5 new Prometheus-class ships are ready for deployment, and we've received requests from 12 worlds for technical assistance. Chen looked out at the stars visible beyond the planet's atmosphere. For thousands of years, the Confederation had controlled which worlds could be visited, which trade routes could be used, which species could contact each other. Tell them we're going exploring, she said. There's a whole galaxy out there that's only been seen through Confederation eyes. I think it's time for a fresh perspective. Martinez smiled. I was hoping you'd say that. Where should we start? Chen pointed to a star map displayed on a nearby screen. These systems here, beyond the Orion Arm. The Confederation classified them as non-viable and never fully explored them. Why would they ignore entire systems? Martinez asked. Because they didn't fit the Confederation pattern, Chen explained. The Confederation only valued worlds that could provide resources or strategic positions. They missed countless opportunities because they only looked for what they already knew. She turned away from the window. Around the room, humans and aliens were talking together, sharing ideas and stories. Species that had been kept apart by Confederation decree were discovering their common interests and unique differences. That was always their weakness, Chen continued. They stopped looking for new possibilities. They stopped adapting. In the end, That's why they couldn't defeat us, not because our technology was better, but because our thinking was different. Martinez nodded in understanding. When do we leave? A week, Chen replied. I want representatives from at least 5 different worlds on each ship. True exploration should include multiple perspectives. As they walked out of the council chamber, Chen took one last look at the gathered representatives. The Confederation had ruled the galaxy for over 3,000 years. In just 6 months, that rule had begun to crumble. Not through conquest, but through cooperation. The path ahead wouldn't be easy. The Confederation still held vast territories and resources. Some worlds, comfortable under Confederation rule, resisted change. But for the first time in millennia, the galaxy had a choice. Chen smiled as she headed toward the spaceport. Humanity's journey among the stars was just beginning, and it promised to be an adventure unlike anything the galaxy had seen before. 1 year after the formation of the Galactic Council, a small Confederation scout ship drifted at the edge of Earth's solar system. Its mission was simple: observe and report on human activities. Inside the ship, Captain Zorro, once an ambassador who had laughed at human technology, watched the sensor readings with growing unease. Earth's orbital shipyards, once filled with what he had considered primitive vessels, now bustled with activity. Ships of designs he had never seen before moved with grace and purpose. Some bore markings from other worlds, evidence of the growing alliance that Earth had fostered. But what truly disturbed him was the data his sensors were collecting. The energy signatures from these ships defied Confederation understanding of physics. They weren't just improved versions of Prometheus. They were something entirely new. His communication officer approached. "Captain, we're receiving a transmission from Earth." Zor tensed. They were supposed to be undetectable. "Put it through." The screen lit up to show Admiral Chen, seated calmly in what appeared to be her office. Behind her, through a large window, Earth's blue oceans and white clouds were visible. "Ambassador Zorro," she said, using his old title deliberately. "Or should I say Captain now. Welcome back to Earth space." Zol's mandibles clicked nervously. "How did you detect us?" Chen smiled slightly. "That's not important. What matters is why you're here. The Confederation Council sent you to assess our capabilities, didn't they?" Zora didn't answer, but his silence was confirmation enough. "Let me save you the trouble," Chen continued. "Tell your council that Earth remains open to peaceful relations. We have no interest in conquest or domination. But also tell them this: we continue to innovate. What you see now is just the beginning." Zol studied her face, searching for signs of deception or aggression. He found none. "The Confederation has existed for 10,000 years, he said finally. "We have survived many challenges." "I don't doubt it," Chen replied. "And perhaps you'll survive this one too. But not as conquerors. Not anymore." The transmission ended, leaving Zol staring at the blank screen. After a moment, he turned to his navigation officer. "Set course for Confederation space," he ordered. "Maximum speed." As the scout ship turned away from Earth, Zor-El composed his report in his mind. He would tell the Council about the ships he had seen, the alliances Earth had formed, the technology they had developed, but most importantly, he would tell them about the look in Admiral Chen's eyes. Not the fire of conquest or the coldness of hatred, but the steady determination of a species that had found its place in the universe and would not be moved. They had laughed at Earth once. No one was laughing now. And that's the story of how humanity turned the tables on an ancient galactic power, from laughingstock to revolution leaders in just a few short months. If you enjoyed this tale of humanity showing the galaxy what we're really made of, smash that like button right now. It helps the algorithm know you want more HFY content like this. And if you haven't already, hit subscribe and that notification bell so you never miss another story about humanity's adventures among the stars. I post new videos every week, exploring how humans shock, surprise, and sometimes terrify the galaxy with our unique approach to problems. What do you think would be humanity's greatest advantage in a galactic civilization? Our adaptability, our creativity, or maybe our sheer stubbornness in the face of impossible odds? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And if you have suggestions for future HFY stories you'd like to see covered, drop those in the comments too. I read every single one and take your ideas seriously when planning new content. Thanks for watching, and remember, in a universe full of ancient civilizations and advanced technology, sometimes the greatest power is simply thinking differently. See you in the next video.